Hello, everyone. Bryan Tuk here from Creative Confidential. Welcome to the first conversation with my collaborator and former newspaper columnist, Bill Childs. We're going to talk about Bill's recent piece in the newsletter, which came out February 4th, about decluttering your mind and techniques that you can use to help increase the quality of your life in general and also increase the quality of your work life. So, without any further delay, here we go. All right, and with that, we're going to bring Bill Childs into the discussion. Bill was kind enough to contribute a column a couple of weeks ago, which quickly became the most read piece of writing on the newsletter. So, Bill, thanks very much for jumping in here. And,
Glad to be here.
it's decluttering is a thing. It really is because we're constantly barraged by content, advertising, algorithms, things follow you around online. And it really, from a business's perspective, you got to look out for your workers' productivity. Or if you're a solopreneur, you have to look out for your own creative or productivity rather, excuse me. So, tell us about how this topic has impacted you and how you've developed your strategies, your decluttering strategies.
Well, Brian, I noticed several years ago that the workday started to get longer and longer, right? So if you look at an average workday, 9 to 5, 8 hours with an hour lunch, I don't know many people that still work that schedule. It just is too
Mm-hmm.
easy to keep going. You know, 5 o'clock comes, you grab a sandwich. If you work at home, you grab a sandwich. People are probably eating, and they just continue their day. It's just, well, I'm just going to answer a couple more emails. Next thing you know, it's 8 o'clock, and then you think, okay, I'm going to stop for the day, right? And then you maybe you take a shower, maybe you go to bed, or you think you're going to go to bed, and then you start scrolling on your social media apps. You know, that is not downtime. That's not giving your brain a chance to spin down from the day. And it's just the devices and the technology have made us available now 24/7. And how many of us have gotten an email at quarter after 9 and thought, I'll wait till the morning to answer that? Most people, if it's on their phone and they're still in bed, they're going to answer it. So we're working so much more, and what's scary is we don't realize it because we're using devices that we're using for work and for what we call relaxation, and the lines are blurred. Remember, let me use this as an example. Remember when people went on vacation and they were actually on vacation, meaning like you couldn't get a hold of them? How
Right.
many of us now take our laptops on vacation?
I do.
I do.
Every
I've done it.
every attorney I know does. Every one of them.
Yep. hmm
And I don't think
And
that's.
our
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, our world necessitates that sometimes. There's just things that people we want everything so fast, so immediate, and it's bled down into our communication.
There's a lot going on in this topic because, um, you know, people's, I don't know, I don't want to say temperature, but I want to say maybe temper has
Okay.
definitely shifted. So 10 years ago, let's say, uh, if you were on vacation and somebody, a client or a customer, maybe they text you or they send you an email and you respond to them, this is 10 years ago now, that you're on vacation,
Okay.
I'll be back on Monday, hang in there with me. 10 years ago, normally that was met with, oh, okay, that's fine, with acceptance.
hmm
Everybody is on edge now on every topic. And, I have without naming names, obviously, I have people that I am connected to professionally who will text me and then actually get pissed if they don't get some contact back within the hour. Doesn't matter what time of day or night it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I try to, the last thing on earth I let myself do is look at work email right before I go to sleep. I
Smart man.
purposely skip over the email app, the mail app button, because it'll ruin, it could ruin the whole, ruin your sleep there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Listen, do you remember when you know, we came home from work, we all came home from work and we were out of touch. You were out of touch from the office because you were at home. The only way someone could contact you back in those days was your home phone. They'd have to know your home number.
Right.
They'd have to dial it. And more than likely, if you remember this, because I've been in the field 30 plus years,
Mm-hmm.
most issues can wait till morning. It was never anything that was like, we need to get a hold of Bill right now. It just, call him at home. What's his home number? It just didn't happen. So we've just all become so conditioned. Here's another one of my favorite ones. You send someone an email and you wait 5-10 minutes. And if you don't hear back from them, you send them a text. Hey, did you
Yep.
get my email? Right. We're all just so used to it now, but I have to say, I think we're heading for some kind of like mental crisis with all this. I just think if we don't get a handle on it and start separating the workday, experiencing real downtime, the kind of downtime we all know, that's not you scrolling through your social media, checking social media, hitting your likes, hitting your whatever you do, on Facebook and Twitter and all that. That is not downtime. It just, you have to really make an effort today in order to separate and declutter, your mind, and not only just your mind, like you mentioned earlier, just about, the amount of advertising messages that come after that hit a daily person on a daily basis. That number is up to 5,000 a day.
I
In
believe
1997, it was around 3,000. In 1971, it was about 500 a day. So a tremendous amount of noise. And now when you add
let's hit
in
that
some of
again.
these,
Can you walk us through those
okay.
numbers of average
Yeah, actually, there
advertisements
was
per
a
day?
book that was written by David Schenck, wrote a book called Data Smog. And he analyzed the number of messages that the average consumer is exposed to on a daily basis. In 1971, it was about 500, right?
Okay.
That's pre-internet, that's pre-cell phone, that's pretty much everything. As we got into 96, 97, emails started to come in, PDF files, right? It's about 3,000 messages a day. And that could include anything from radio ads, billboards, television ads, magazine ads, anything that look to compete for your attention, right? We're up over 5,000 a day now, easily. And from that's just that progression of just how the media and marketing has just keeps ramping up more and more and more. And now the social media, you see it, on Facebook, you see it on Twitter, you see it on, Instagram, because that's where everybody is. So that's where the advertisers go. So again, now you're mixing here you think you're on a platform and you're trying to just engage with that content, but you're being served ads, retargeting ads. So if you search, you search a new, I know you play drums. If you search a new, cymbal, you're going to be served retargeting ads. They're going to start popping up, and that's been like that for years now. But that's just more competing in that space with the noise. The noise is just so loud now with the number of messages that go after a daily person in their daily life.
Well, the thing that all of this has in common is tech. So
Yeah.
if occasionally I try, I don't always succeed. I try to turn everything off, and I mean literally turn everything off. Turn the phone off. Take the watch. Take that off because you get all the push notifications to that, and just read a book or sit and look out the window for a minute. Which seems really old
Daydream.
fashioned, but yeah, that has some unstructured, not being passively receiving all of this information, but just being able to sit and think
Doodling.
for a
Doodling
second.
is another good downtime. Doodling. Just doodle or color. Get a coloring book and just color. What's amazing about that, and because I work as a creative director and I spend a lot of time in my head, using my brain to come up with ideas and concepts and headlines and such. Um, if you want to actually improve your mental health, you have to find ways to quiet your mind, because that's the only way you're going to get new thoughts. New thoughts will not come into a cluttered mind. It won't. Um, and history has shown, that Archimedes, that Eureka Moment, you know, he's sitting in a bathtub when he figured out how to measure the gold in the king's crown. You know, that's why you have so many
Yeah.
people when they take a shower, they think of things, right? Of
Yep.
an idea will pop up because all you can do in the shower is shower, more than likely. I mean, you're not watching TV or radio or, exercising, hopefully. You're taking a shower. Your mind is quieting down, new thoughts can come in. And usually what happens is it's a thought that your subconscious was working on that you didn't know,
Mm-hmm.
and it solves your problem. You get that eureka moment. So as a creative person, I absolutely have to carve out downtime, or put downtime into my schedule, because I won't be able to think, because it'll just be oversaturated. All the information I could get to about 3 o'clock on an average day, and I start to feel the sensory overload start to kind of take over a little bit around 3 o'clock.
Well, it's
That's
funny
usually
you
that's
mentioned
the window. Yeah.
it's funny you mentioned the Eureka moment because this is going to sound like a just an illustration for the hell of it, but no, this literally happened to me today. So
Oh.
I have a couple of businesses I'm involved in, and Sundays are usually actually work days. So yesterday, we're recording this on a Monday, everybody. So Sunday was a 10-11 hour work day. And normally I force myself to get as fast a start on Mondays as I possibly can, because coming out of that seventh, it should be a day of rest, but it never is for me anyway. It's too easy to sit back and let the Monday morning block just pass by without anything productive happening. So today I did the opposite of what I normally do, and the kids had off of school because it's President's Day, and went and walked along the Brandywine River for a couple hours. And I had a strategy thing that I was working on for the last couple of weeks that I've just had a mental block with it. And I thought, what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure out, what's going
Yep.
on with this issue, which isn't ready for prime time, but I'll share with everybody later. And sure enough, about an hour into the thing today, literally standing, just watching the water go by, the river go by, the solution presented itself. Like quite literally, just revealed itself to me, and more or less fully formed. Like
Wow.
I knew who to contact, who I need to add to the team. It's a staffing kind of thing, and
Hmm.
it just was as, it was like somebody rang a bell and I was like, oh, okay, that's what needs to happen. So you're 100% right.
I love it.
You're 100% right about the
Yeah.
Eureka moment. You got to get out of your space, go outside, get out someplace quiet.
Do something else. Yep. It's the reason why a lot of agencies you'll hear, you know, will have foosball tables or basketball courts or ping pong tables. It's not because they want their people to become ping pong champions or work on their jump shot. It's a way to get them out of their normal routine, away from their desk. And I've heard stories, so many stories, where someone would be playing a basketball game, and all of a sudden, someone just goes running off the court. They just go running off the court down the hall because they figured out what they were working on. It came to them, and
Yep.
they're not going to stand there sit there in the basketball game. They're going back to work. So that's what those things are there for. They're just distracting. They're just way to distract your mind. Like take a walk or go fishing or whatever you can do to just pull yourself out of that mode of where you're just trying to solve a problem. Because the harder you try to solve a problem like that, the more jammed up you're going to get.
Yep.
I've done it far too often to I know better. I know better now. I know that it's my brain is telling me take a break, and not go scrolling, news stories and get even more agitated, but take a real break. And I have to apologize. I feel like I need to apologize to managers and leaders everywhere that because I'm sorry that thinking doesn't look like more of an activity than it does, right? When you're thinking about something, it kind of looks like this.
Yeah.
Not doing anything, right? No, I'm actually thinking. But sometimes that's just the price of, coming up with ideas.
Well, that's like
People
the
don't
old that's
understand
like
you.
the old expression. When a writer's sitting there looking out the window, they're working. It just doesn't look like it.
100%. 100%. Yep. That just trips most people up because it's like, what are you doing? Get back to work. I
Yep.
am working. I'm working really hard right now. I'm thinking.
Now, for those of you who are seeing this conversation on video without knowing what we're talking about or what Creative Confidential is, Creative Confidential is a newsletter. It comes right to your email inbox. There are no pixels, there are no bots following you around that are going to try to sell you some product later on. It's peer to peer. Bill and I write the content and it goes directly to you. And it cuts Facebook and everybody else out of the loop, which I think is a beneficial thing. So, just so you can see what we're talking about, it would help if I drag this up. Here we go. And this is the piece that Bill wrote. It came out February 4th. It quickly became the most read piece in the newsletter. It was short lifespan of about a year. And let's bring Bill back up here. And where are you, Bill? There you are. Okay, and if you could walk us through the article a little bit, let's assume for a moment that I am a worker in some creative business or a worker at a big company for that matter. This really applies to anybody. And I'm constantly bombarded by advertising, by messaging, by people that need a piece of my time or attention for some reason. And I'm feeling stuck. I can't push forward because of all of these requirements on my time. So tell us what we can do.
Absolutely, Brian. Well, as someone who works in a creative capacity, I use my brain a lot to think of concepts and slogans, and I'm solving challenges constantly, daily, hourly. Um, I need to kind of carve some time to really allow my brain to kind of quiet down. And this is a topic, decluttering your mind, that is near and dear to my heart. So One of the things that I started to do was, first I had to realize that there was an issue, that this was becoming harder and harder every day to kind of just keep coming up and showing up and not taking any steps to on my mental health. And I realized pretty quickly that the mental health and downtime didn't mean, scrolling through, all my apps on my phone. That is not downtime. Downtime, is doodling, or downtime is looking out a window, or daydreaming, or taking a walk, or walking your dog, doing dishes. Those are things that or taking a shower. That's a big one. Everybody knows, the Eureka moment that can happen when you take a shower. It's because your mind is able to quiet down. So one of the things that I started doing was, my daughter had recommended to me that I try yoga, and I had never done yoga. I knew a little bit about, obviously I knew what it was. It involved stretching. It involved, kind of sitting in a quiet kind of room. And I did it for the first time. And it was one of those things where, boy, I wish I knew about this 30 years ago, because it really does. You go into the room and you're just there to work on your mental health and your body, and you're stretching, and you're in poses. And I, obviously I can't do all the crazy poses that some of these more advanced people can do, but just being in the room, setting an intention at the start of any yoga session that, you're going to clear your mind, you're going to work on stretching, it's just such a great activity that really does allow your mind to quiet down. I mean, the room is quiet. I got into hot yoga, which allowed me to kind of get into deeper stretches. So that worked for me. And another one that kind of is closely aligned with yoga is meditation. When, you sit in a quiet room and you allow your mind as much as you can to go blank. You're not thinking about the emails that you have to answer, the projects for the day. You're just trying to spin down your brain, just to kind of get it to a place where you relax, your body relaxes, and it doesn't involve anything else other than you finding a quiet space where you can sit down. And this takes practice. This isn't something that is going to just happen right away. A lot of people that start meditation, they start it and they realize, like, all they're doing is thinking about all the things that they have to do. And it takes practice to get to a point where you really can quiet your mind. You will be surprised how fast, when you are able to do this, how much more energized you'll be, how you'll be able to come up with ideas better, because your mind is getting the rest that it needs. And then, the third one that I wrote about was just setting a new intention, deciding that you're going to take this serious. I tend to not answer work emails. If someone needs to get a hold of me on a weekend, they know they can text me. I will see a text. I can answer a text, but I'm not going to open my laptop on a Saturday morning and start answering work emails, because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to end up spending the entire day answering those emails. And I just think that it's just a bad thing to kind of get into, because, you're robbing yourself of your mental health and your peace of mind. And for someone who works in a creative capacity, I need my brain to operate at maximum capacity and maximum efficiency. So I really do have to take those steps. And, a lot of times when people say they're going to go to bed at night, what they really mean is they're going to go to bed and they're going to look on Facebook, and they're going to look on Twitter, and they're going to doom scroll, and get see all these things that are happening terrible in the world. And it just warps your mind into, you're seeing everyone's highlight reel. So you're like, wow, I'm not eating that food. I'm not going on those wonderful trips. I don't drive that cool car. It just does so much to kind of sap your well-being. So quiet time, yoga, get some hot yoga going, set some new intentions, just decide, they've actually done studies, and I was a big offender of this early in my career, where I just did so much overtime. I was always working overtime.
Yep.
After a certain point, you're just deluding yourself. You're not being productive. You feel like you're being productive, or you think you are, but you're not, because your brain just can't handle. We're not robots. We need time to unplug, de-stress, declutter, and then you hit the day hard the next day, with a refreshed mind. Sleep is another one. I should have wrote in there sleep, getting a good solid 8 hours. I noticed during the quarantine period, I started sleeping more, and it wasn't crazy amounts of time, extra that I was sleeping, but I was getting like a solid 8, a solid 9, and I would wake up
Mhm.
refreshed. I woke up refreshed every day, and I was just like, boy, sleep really does. The quarantine period really allowed me to try and test some things that I maybe wouldn't have tested before. The meditation, the yoga, and even just sleep, and stop filling our brains with all this stuff that really it doesn't help us. You know, I'm guilty of it too. I get caught up in it, but I just know that if I want to be the best that I can be and bring the best to my employer every day, I need to take care of those things.
Well, what I tell people in distress, in my activities as an attorney, I see a lot of people when they're not at their best. Okay, their
Mm,
spouse just left them, they're on the verge of bankruptcy. The landlord is going to kick them out of their business address or their home address.
sure.
Their car got repossessed. One of their kids just got arrested. The thing I tell people in those times is every problem you have is much worse when you're exhausted.
Hmm.
Because when you're tired, you can't, it robs you of objectivity and any kind of rational thought that you're capable of. So sleep is really a huge part of it for sure.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that one in there, but that's
Well, we're
because I think
mentioning it
we.
now, so
Yeah, true, true. That's a big one. I'd put that right up there.
I did want to circle back to the meditation part of the article for people that are patrons. We're running an event
Yep.
Monday, February 28th, 7 p.m. Eastern on Zoom. We're going to have an introduction to meditation with yoga instructor Ellen Davies, who's one of our family friends out here in Chester County, and this is free for patrons. So if you're a paying subscriber to the newsletter, it's $5 a month. I'll drop a link underneath the video here if you want to get in on this. The meditation session is free for patrons. There's no charge. We're not going to try to sell you anything or anything like that. But if you're curious about adding that to, or, just curious about it in general, or
Sure.
you want to maybe add that to your routine to try to help yourself out a little bit, I highly recommend you join us next week. So that's, again, Monday, February 28th, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's by Zoom or via Zoom. So you can check it out in the comfort of your home, on your tablet, in your car, wherever you may be.
That's awesome.
So that's all we have for today, I think. And I want to thank Bill again for joining us. And I really look forward to your piece, the next one, which will be coming up in a week or two. And
Absolutely.
thank you for watching. Thank you for reading. And if you're a patron, thank you for your support, because it's people like you that will help us to write more content, produce more videos, and to generate hopefully some more solutions for you as you go forward in your career, life, time, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. All right. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll be back. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with another conversation like this. All right. Take care.